Hi everybody, it's Fay here from FayJohnstone.com, and as many of you know, I have been doing a lot of traveling lately, and I know for some of us it's the holiday season has ended, but for those of you who are still traveling, whether it's for business or pleasure, I have got some spiritual travel tips for you. These are practices which I do whenever I travel, and I've been traveling a lot. Like I said, I've just come back from Spain, taking a group of people to see the amazing painted caves of northern Spain, and on Monday I am leaving for a 17-day trip to take another group around the sacred sites of Scotland. So these are travel tips, so this is spiritual travel tips. They're not the usual things of what you need to pack in your suitcase and how to research where you're going. These are spiritual practices which I put in place every time I travel. And you don't have to be traveling on exotic trips far afield or for a long duration in order to get the benefit from these. They can be if you're just like popping across to a new city to visit a friend for an evening or even for a weekend. So I'm going to just split this into things I do before I leave, things I make sure I'm doing while I'm there, and then what I do when I get home. Okay, so the first thing I like to do when I know I'm going somewhere is I tune into the place. I tune into the spirit of the place. And I do this with my drum, with a shamanic journey. So what I do is I will drum with an intention to connect with, for example, to connect with the spirit of one of the islands where I'm going in Scotland next week, for example, and I'm going to see the Callanish stones. So, for example, I can do work with my drum with an intention to connect with the spirit of that sacred site, for example. And in that journey, I can get a feel for the sacred site, or the site that I'm going to, the place I'm going to, the city I'm going to, and I can ask questions like what is needed here is, and I can ask, is there anything that I need to bring with me? And I can really ask anything I liked from the spirit of the place, because sometimes we are drawn to certain places and we don't know why, and we can ask the spirit of the place, what is needed here? What do I need to bring with me? How can I help you? So it's really important, I always feel, to offer yourself of service if you are visiting a new place. And so if you don't work with shamanic journeying practice, what I suggest you do is to meditate and visualize yourself traveling to the place, arriving. For example, say you were having a weekend trip to Barcelona. Visualize yourself traveling to Barcelona in one of the main streets of Barcelona, and take yourself through a visualization of encountering the feel of the place, the spirit of the place, the essence of the place, and see where that visualization takes you, and notice how you feel during it. Notice what stands out for you while you're doing the visualization, because these will be clues that will help to connect you with the spirit of the place. And you might often find sometimes things are asked of us. I recently, it was a couple of years ago when I was in Chile. I had connected with the spirit of place before I traveled, and it was a wild visualization journey, and it was really showing me about water. And I got the sense from this particular journey that there was an issue with water while I was in Chile. And so while I was there, I made a real conscious effort to conserve water, to not waste water, to be really conscious and aware of water and bodies of water around me, blessing bodies. Oh, hello, Alison. I've just seen your comment. Very nice to see you today. Hello, how are you? Let me know how you are today, and whether you have any questions on any of these travel tips for you. And so also another thing that I love to do, so just be aware that when we connect with the spirit of a place, there may be something that you can do. So this example of being in Chile was it was a very simple thing for me to do, actually. And So, and there may be things that spirit wants you to, the spirit of the place would like you to bring with you, or it may be even show you places that you might need to go while you are there. Yes, I'm very well, thank you, Alison. Thank you for asking. And so another thing I like to do before I travel is to visualize my journey. Okay, so I like to do this to help myself have a smooth passage, have a smooth journey. I visualize myself arriving calmly, in good time, in good health with everyone I'm traveling with, and this also helps. As a Reiki practitioner, I will send distance Reiki to my journey, to my stay, to help with it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are not going to encounter issues or challenges or problems, but it does help you to tune into the travel. It helps you to have and hold a good image of a good image of visualization of how you wish to travel, so that you've got that in your mindset, that there's going to be that things are going to be easy rather than challenging. Because sometimes if we hear on the media that there's problems with travel or weather and things like that, we can start running a mindset that starts worrying and starts getting anxious. So have a visualization, visualizing yourself arriving in your beautiful hotel or your Airbnb, wherever you've booked. And again, we can get anxious about this because we've booked them online. We don't really know what we're encountering. We might get anxious. Oh, is this person really going to pick me up from the airport or the train station? How am I going to find it? What if I can't find it? What if I get on the wrong bus? You know, our anxious minds can put us in a negative mindset. And as you know, we create, what we think we create. So really visualize yourself having an easy, smooth, wonderful journey, meeting beautiful people on the way, having lovely experiences, arriving safely and calmly, that sort of thing. And like I said, if you're a healer, you can send Reiki to your journey and to your stay. The other thing I do, and this is when I'm packing for a trip, yes, I turn on my sort of practical mind of, oh my goodness, what am I going to need? And yes, it's going to be raining, so I'm going to need my rain gear. I'm speaking about my trip to Scotland, obviously. But also I then have to pause, take a deep breath, and really tune into to start to feel my way with my packing rather than just thinking logically. Because when we start to feel our way with the heart, that's when we're really opening up those intuitive senses. And because your body knows, your being knows what you're going to need while you are there. And you might find that there are certain trinkets, crystals, jewelry, that sort of thing that need to come with you, that want to accompany you on your journey. Now, I am not one really for taking lots of kind of trinkets and crystals with me when I travel. I very much feel that, and I do a lot of traveling, and I've always done a lot of traveling. It's kind of in my being, if you like. So I kind of feel that it's all about me and the vibration. It's, in a sense, it's all about the alignment within me. It's not about me always having to take an object that needs to pick up the vibration of a place. But sometimes a place might want us to take things with us. So feel for what you feel is appropriate and what you like to do, because many of us are very attached to certain items of jewelry or snuggly jumpers or crystals, for example, and these can be great companions for us while we're on our travels. And also they can be very helpful to places that we are traveling to. So just feel for what wants to come with you. And something that I always like to travel with is lavender essential oil. So there's obviously many herbal preparations in my herbal first aid kit, but lavender essential oil, lavender's one of my plant allies, and it's a beautiful scent. It's very relaxing, it's antiviral and all that sort of thing. So lavender essential oil pretty much always accompanies me. It kind of in my pocket, almost in my handbag wherever I go. So we all have items like that. So feel for what needs to come with you. And often, and for example, here when I'm traveling to the sacred sites of Scotland, I'm actually going to take some offerings with me. And so that might look like me taking some seeds, some flowers, some tobacco sometimes, or some dried herbs from my garden as a gentle offering. But don't get too caught up on having to take actual physical items to offer to places, because obviously our presence, our gratitude, our intention and our prayer are very, very valuable. We don't always need to be caught up with things. But I do, you know, sometimes I might carry a medicine pouch. I might like to carry my pendulum so I can dowse, all sorts of things. So feel for what needs to come with you. And before I leave, I always like to protect my home. I protect my home with visualization and Reiki. I always like to walk around my property and my garden and talk to the nature beings and tell them that we are going away, or I am going away, so that, and ask them for their help in protecting my space and my property and my family while I'm away, and also for their blessings and their wishes for my trip. Okay, so what to do while you are there. So you've arrived and it's all going very well. But what I love to do to feel, really to tune into the spirit of the place where you are, okay? And so the way I do this is I just noticing it in the different places that you travel to, spending a moment, taking time really to pause, tune in, taking yourself away. You know, if you're with lots of friends and things can be really busy, make some time to just step aside, to maybe connect with a tree, or just find a nice place in nature where you can breathe, relax, and tune in to that vital spirit, that essence of the place where you are. And again, we don't have to have a super big intention for this, but really the intention is just to feel like, how does this place feel? How does it make you feel? And is there anything that you can do here? What's needed here? What's the story of this place? So that's what we're doing. That's what I like to do when I'm visiting a new place. And obviously, if you're doing a lot of traveling on your trip, you will be doing this at every place that you go. And I know that I'll have my work cut out for me when I'm on my trip around Scotland next week, because I am going to be visiting many sacred sites, and there'll be a lot of moments where I just need to pause and reflect and really tune into how I'm feeling emotionally, how I'm feeling in my body, and just start to become that observer rather than get caught up with the drama of what's going on. And again, I like to leave offerings to places, particularly if we're going to sacred sites. But you see, you know, for me, and I know for many of you also, the world is sacred. We don't have to be told, oh, this is a church, this is a Celtic cross, this is a standing stone, to bless a place, to be grateful for its presence. So, you know, we can sometimes be blown away by a beautiful sunset on a gorgeous beach, or a lovely forest that we find at the side of the road when we took a wrong turning and we're driving down a country lane that we've never been before. We're always having there are always these moments of awe that the natural world presents to us. And so giving your blessings, showing your appreciation with the natural world, with these places, even if you come to these, you know, sometimes we see these amazing buildings and you think, oh my God, like that's huge. How did that even get there? Who even thought of that? You know, all the way out here, this amazing building, or this amazing rock, this amazing structure. And so just giving our blessing, your gratitude. And so this doesn't have to be in the form of an offering, like I was saying before, like seeds and tobacco and holy water and all that kind of stuff that you might think of as a traditional offering. This can come just simply in you taking a moment to connect with the place where you are, the building, the tree, the space in nature, and just saying, wow, you know, finding that, seeing the goodness, seeing the radiance in that place, and all the people, all the ancestors who have made that place, all those creatures on this earth who have moved through this place, been born in this place, sacrificed themselves in this place. So there's just appreciating that cycle of life that flows through us. And generally when we're away from home, we really have a different perspective on things. So pause and allow that to come through. And this is where I like to journal a lot while I'm away. And I also like to have the rule of less is more. So this will be different for all of you, but for me, I'm not a traveler that likes to tick off everything on the list. I'm a traveler that has to sit back, and just tune into how I feel. And I have to really be careful of just not doing too much, because otherwise my energy will completely get depleted by all these new people and places and spaces that I'm visiting. So again, forms of protection, even visualizing white light around you, if you know Reiki or other spiritual practices, or maybe you have crystals that do this, but protecting our energy, because when we're in public spaces and sacred sites and all sorts of other places, all sorts of things are going on, and I always need to just take a step back, and less is more for me. I like to sort of see less, do less, and I always will make sure I take time out for sort of personal time, even if that is something really stupid, like lying on the bed and doing some meditation for a while, or sitting with a cool drink in the shade with my journal, just to gather myself, to pull back, to call back my energy that I have spent in the day, and to find my center again. Because if you travel a lot, or if you're traveling for an extended period of time, it's really important to come back to your grounded sense of self and who you are, so that you can experience all these new exciting places and people and cultures, but actually take a deep breath and remember who you are, and open to who you are and that groundedness and sense of self that you have. Alison is just saying here, she likes to take her pillow traveling, yes, and she's talking about a beautiful tree in a churchyard near where she lives, and she feels like it's a beautiful umbrella. So that sounds, Alison, like that's a place where you go to connect, to take a step back. And it sounds like, even by telling us and sharing with us that it's a beautiful tree, you know, in a sense you are honoring that tree. So maybe next time you see that tree, just send all your prayers to that tree from us as well, because I can visualize that, and it sounds a very beautiful tree. So yes, anything that you come across, and that you in that sort of vortex of enjoyment and laughter. And this is what happens when we travel. We're seeing things, we're seeing new things, we're seeing fresh things, and and showing our appreciation, really riding that vibration of, wow, this is amazing, I love this, and showing our gratitude. You know, gratitude is the attitude, it's the vibration that makes the world or helps the world reciprocate back to you. So if you're giving out your high vibe of, oh my God, this is amazing, I'm having the best trip ever, then more of that is going to come your way. And so really finding, another thing here I've written down is like finding the rhythm of the place where you are, because this is what's great about when we travel, and when we're kind of sightseeing, or when we're seeing different cultures. We're not only in different places and we're having different food, or we're meeting different people, but we're actually experiencing a different rhythm. And it might even be a different season of the year where you travel to, particularly if you change, you know, hemispheres. So again, tuning into that, and not just taking yourself there and expecting to sort of be have the same rhythm that you would have when you're back home. I mean, and this is why travel is so good for us, because it does totally shift us. And open to that, being open to the fact that, you know, when you travel, knowing that that's going to happen, your normal boundaries, your normal mindset of this way that you live your life is going to be challenged. You're not necessarily going to get what you normally eat for breakfast. You're not going to normally be, you know, the bed that you're sleeping in might not be as comfortable and as warm and inviting as the bedroom that you sleep in at home. And just noticing, observing, you know, how is this challenging you? Where are your boundaries? Where are your edges being slightly pulled? What is triggering you, and how can you grow into that? And seeking out those places which are important to the local community where you are, because what we notice when we're visiting other places is there'll be different places of worship, different natural places in nature which have importance to the local community, and we see this sometimes with place names. We see that a place name might show you, for example, how important that has been in history. So yeah, I always like to tune into and find out, ask the locals where they go, where the best places they go are to experience, you know, the sunset, where they might go to worship, places which are important to them in their culture and in their and throughout their history. So it's really important. I've said it before, but yeah, it's just giving gratitude, being gratitude for your travels, for all the experiences that you're having, and really sending that out into the world, because that's the vibration that we want to be sending out, because we want to be receiving all the beautiful blessings that we're experiencing. And so before I get home, I like to again visualize my journey home, visualize this being calm, being on time, being relaxing and hassle-free, you know, all this stuff, just to prevent that anxiety that wants to kind of kick in sometimes. And again, I like to journal. I like to journal about how my trip's been. I like to journal about what might have shifted, because often when we come away, we've had stuff on our mind. We'll have been very busy if we've been building up to a big trip, and when we're away, we do get a different sense of perspective. We are open to all these different other cultures, energies, and so forth. So I like to write myself some goals in my journal. I like to think, okay, so what's this taught me? How can I shift? And what do I really want now? Because travel does this to us. Different places and people add these flavors to us. And I believe that we do travel because we're picking up our energy body, the vibration in our DNA, everything is picking up this subtle flavor of the cultures and societies and the history of the places that we are visiting. So pause and allow that to infuse, and ask yourself, you know, are the goals that you have now at the end of the trip the same ones that you have been carrying, you know, before your trip? And so as I come home, there's just, you know, showing gratitude to your home for being there. Some cultures even kiss the floor of their house as they come in, because they're so grateful to be home. And just giving gratitude to the travels, the people you met, the experiences that you've had, and feeling again the spirit of your home, finding a way to ground yourself truly in your home. I know that for me, I like to integrate a trip, but as quickly as possible, really, because I find it very necessary to ground and to really, really come back home. And so the way I do that is I like to kind of, in a sense, I like to unpack all of my trip. Like I really like to unpack my suitcase very, very quickly, so that physically I don't have things lying around that are like untied ends. And I like to ground myself by being in my garden, and that's where I have been for the last couple of days, because I really wanted to be truly grounded after one trip before I head off now into another trip. Anyway, I hope that gives you some idea of some kind of spiritual tools that you can use while you're away. And obviously anything that you've brought back from traveling, like if you brought back a crystal or a souvenir, then you might want to bless that when you get home. You might want to cleanse it when you get home, and tune into where that wants to be in your home, so you can get the feel of that and the flavor of that. So anyway, I hope that's been very helpful to you. There'll be more from me after I have come back from my lovely trip to many of the sacred sites in Scotland. So sending my blessings to all of you. You can connect with me at fayjohnstone.com. Okay, bye everyone. Bye.